Hi again guys, back with another unboxing. I'm sure most of you will be aware exactly where this one's come from just by looking at the packaging. Obviously it's from the HK Now store. They always have this blue ribbon around it. A couple of interesting puzzles in this one. One very new one. So let's dive in here and see what there is. Okay, so the first one out of the box is the most interesting in here, I think. So you might have seen this on a few websites, called the Moyan. This is the closed eye version. There's two versions. This one called open eye, one called closed eye. Still got a Felix Zemdegs on the box, even though it's not in any way, shape or form a speed cube. It's a very interesting shape, as you can see if you haven't seen this before. Well, I'll tell you from the outside of the box, other than the fact that obviously with Moyu it's made by YJ. It's very interesting. I like the fact that YJ is coming out with an original puzzle instead of just doing knockoffs and things all the time, so that's cool. This looks quite crazy. That's a very strange colour to sticker it as well. That's actually got black stickers on there and a black puzzle, which is very odd. Smaller than I thought, actually. I expected it to be bigger from the pictures I've seen, but that's cool. As you can see, it's actually a rhombic dodecahedron, so you've got 12 sides, all rhombus shaped. I'm not absolutely certain how this is going to turn. I've got an idea that I think, yeah. Okay, well that turns okay. I'm a bit concerned with the fact that there's absolutely no caps on the pieces in there whatsoever, so I've got a feeling there might be some catching issues once it's scrambled. Hopefully I'm wrong. Yeah, each one of these tips turns, but I believe, yeah, there we go, it turns this whole layer as well, which is quite cool, and that layer as well obviously is just the same from the other side. And then of course the tips, so you've basically got that in every direction, so you've got the tip here and that layer that turns and that layer and of course the tip on this side. So yeah, that's basically how it turns. It actually turns very well right now. There's no problems whatsoever in its solved state, despite those pieces not being capped. I must admit, it looks like you might get some catching on it, like as I said, but there isn't anything like that happening so far, which is good to know. Obviously we'll see once it's scrambled what it's like. I've got a good idea how this cube is going to solve just from viewing it. It's very like actually I don't think I want to say, because it might spoil the surprise for some other people if you're not already aware of what this puzzle actually is. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting looking cube, and like as I said, I really like the fact that YJ bringing out something somewhat original. It's very close to another puzzle, however the mechanism, I'm going to say, looks a lot different to what it's kind of copying, so I'm not convinced it could actually be called a copy, to be honest. So yeah, let's give it a scramble and see what it looks like scrambled. Right, so scramble it up and see how it looks. Now, being a rhombic dodecahedron, it doesn't shapeshift, which of course negates what I was saying a minute ago about it perhaps catching when it's scrambled, because for some reason I was forgetting that rhombic dodecahedrons don't shapeshift, and so you're not going to get that catching problem that I was suspected, because I was thinking once it was shapeshifted actually that you might start getting some problems, but of course it doesn't. So yeah, I'm actually pleasantly surprised by the turning of this, especially it doesn't feel particularly weighty, so it's quite thin plastic, and it's quite hollow. I don't know if you can actually see that in there. There's a lot of empty space inside the puzzle. But hey, if it turns okay, then what does it matter? I still think that black side is a very strange choice to put on a black puzzle, but oh well. It looks quite cool. It's pretty mentally in its scrambled state, that's for sure. So yeah, I like this. It's definitely an interesting looking puzzle for sure. I'll be honest, I think this might be the first YouTube video of it. I haven't actually seen any others so far, so it'll be a nice first. I bought this one and not the closed eye one because I think not the open eye one. If you haven't seen it, basically on some of these sides it's got a circle cut out between these two, I don't know, I suppose you call them petal shaped pieces, and it's got another colour in there, which basically gives you a guide to what colour that face should be. So I think it actually adds more to the challenge not having that piece visible. I did think about buying both, but I don't think there's enough of a difference between the two different types to make it worthwhile, to be honest. So I'll try this one. I'll see what other people think of the other one when they get it, and I might decide to get the other one then. Alright then guys, I think I'm going to call that scrambled. I'll go away and solve it, and I'll get back to you with my thoughts when I have. Okay, I'm back, and as you can see the puzzle's now solved. Basically everything I thought about it was correct. The catching due to the piece being hollow does happen. It certainly does happen while you're solving it. However, it's not to the extent that it becomes a real annoyance. It's just an occasional little having to turn a piece a few times to get it to actually go. So it's not a terrible problem or anything like that. It does feel a little bit flimsy and lightweight, which is a little bit disappointing considering the cost. It's not a cheap puzzle. I think I paid $27 for it, so it's not hugely expensive, but it's certainly not cheap either. So I would have hoped for a little bit better quality. I think it's very thin and feels quite flimsy and lightweight. But as I said, it turns absolutely fine, other than that slight catching annoyance. The only other difficulty I've had with it, which is purely down to the shape of it, is sometimes you're trying to do a turn and you'll accidentally twist the face at the back here while you're trying to turn the front, because your fingers will just press against it wrong, which that's really just down to the rhombic dodecahedron shape, because your fingers are holding an angled surface. So that takes a little bit of getting used to. Solving wise, it wasn't a huge challenge. I guess it's taken me about 20-25 minutes to solve it the first time. The most difficult part was trying to figure out the colour scheme, because I deliberately didn't memorise it in any way before I scrambled it. So trying to figure out what needs to go where, that's the hardest part, I think, of figuring out how to solve it. Now that's because I have solved the puzzle that it's based on quite a number of times, so that helps with that. There is I have only solved it the one time so far. I didn't get a parity situation. I assume there is one, but if there is, then it's pretty easy to get out of. I'm sure I'll come across that as the next couple of solves that I do with it at some point, which is a fairly easy fix. But yeah, overall it's a fun puzzle. Whether I'd recommend it or not, I don't know. It's, as I said, it is quite costly, and if you've got the puzzle this is based on, it's probably not going to add a huge amount to your of solving value. However, I'm a big fan of shape mods anyway, and as I've said numerous times before, I do consider myself a collector, so it's an interesting puzzle that I want to have in my collection, and it looks really, really cool anyway. If you look at it at that angle, I think it looks superb. But yeah, so it's definitely an interesting puzzle. It's a fun one to have in your collection, but if you're looking for a real solving challenge, then you're probably not going to find it here, unless you're fairly new to puzzling. If you're a new puzzler, then yes, you probably will find it quite challenging. An experienced twisty puzzle solver, figuring out the colour scheme and stuff certainly does add to the challenge, and sort of like wrapping your head around the shape of it, because the shape does kind of, same as other shape mods, just skews your perspective somewhat, trying to figure out what needs to go where. But yeah, it's not hugely difficult, but I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed solving it, and I'm glad I've got this one in my collection. So yeah, if you enjoy shape mods and things like that, then I'm sure you'll enjoy this as well. Alright then guys, I will call it a day for this video. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Take care now. Bye.